Mr. Taper's Barber Life, and it's a good Sunday. It's a little cloudy out, but it's a good Sunday. I came back because I had a lot to talk about. If you've been following me, you know about the barber school that's going to be open very soon. I'm waiting on my inspection, which is coming very soon, so I'll update y'all on that. The other thing, Houston Barber Expo, October 19th. That is going to be, I got a feeling that's going to be real nice. It's going to be our first trip to the Houston Barber Expo. I got a lot of family situations in Houston, so it's going to be a nice trip. You know what I mean? Shout out to my man, Yusef the barber. He's going to be out there as well. So that is October 19th, Houston Barber Expo. Okay. What else? Oh, shout out to the Las Vegas Barber Expo as well, which was last weekend. But I'm sad to say it wasn't as crowded as it was last year. Now, I did not go, but this is the word on the street. They said it was, and you can actually find this video on Instagram, but they said it was real light. You know what I mean? And the reason being is because of the whole ICE situation. You know what I mean? With the government picking up immigrants, you know what I'm saying? And that blew my mind because I was like, damn, you know what I mean? Because I know that a lot of these barber expos are heavily populated by Latino barbers, but I wouldn't think that, or I wasn't thinking that that would stop them from going to public events. But that's a shame if that is true, which I know is true, but that is a shame. So shout out to my Latino brothers and sisters, and hopefully this whole thing gets taken care of very quickly. Um, Also, we got in Raleigh, Major League Barbers doing a barber competition in Raleigh in November. I'll put the link in the comments. I'm not sure the exact date, but I know it's November. So Raleigh, North Carolina, Major League Barber is back. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of favor Major League barber battles a little more because let me just say this. They stick to traditional barber competitions in their different battles. You know what I mean? It's just like fastest fade, fade and beard, student battle. You know what I mean? It's real traditional. Now, saying that, I'm not saying that I don't like the costumes and the makeup and you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I don't like that, but it just seems like recently the whole glamour, or whatever you call the costumes and the makeup competition, it's more of a fashion costume show than a barber battle. And that's my only problem with it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I want people to be like, oh, he hating. Nah, I'm just saying it's more of a fashion and makeup show instead of it being a barber. Now I understand when you have a barber show, you want to, make the client look like a certain theme. Like if you have a sports theme, or if you have both of y'all rocking suits or something like that, that's cool. But when you start to get in these crazy makeup, and that would be cool if the judging was strictly on the barbering. Let me say that. It's okay to do the makeup and all of that and the costumes if the judges are going to look strictly at the cut, the makeup and all of that, that should be like icing on the cake. But lately, I think there have been competitions where I've seen people win because they had the best costume and their cut was just okay. You know what I mean? And the guy with who really should have won, his costume was just mediocre. You know what I'm saying? And that is my biggest gripe. So, like I said, I don't want people who work on costumes or work on makeup coming for me because I'm not, disrespecting y'all. I'm just saying, since this is a barber battle, then the focus should be on the cut and everything else should be, secondary. You know what I mean? Okay. So, hopefully that gives y'all a little uh, understanding on how I feel about the whole makeup, costume, and the barber battle situation. Because, like I said, I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying let's make sure judges focus on the cut and the makeup and the costume secondary. You know what I mean? Okay, so we got Major League Barber in November. We got Houston in 2 weeks, and I'm not. Oh, and there's an Arizona show coming up as well. I'll leave that in the comments. But what I'm very excited about is going to my first Chicago show in January. Shout out to Joe Flannel. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Nori. That show's been going on for years. I think it's 11 years. And it's huge. It's in Chicago. It's in January. It's the middle of winter. It's super cold. A lot of times it's a couple of feet of snow, but the barbers show out. So shout out to the Chicago barber community because y'all show out, man. So I'm definitely, and when I say definitely, I am definitely going to the Chicago Major League Barber Chi-Town show January. I'll leave that date in the comments as well. But if you are a barber in the Chicago area, you have got to be at this show if you haven't gone already. And even if you're not in the Chicago area, it's a quality show. And even though I've never been there, I've been to enough Major League Barber shows to know that they put on a quality show. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So make sure y'all check that out. It's in January, Chicago, Chi-Town. We going. All right. There's a huge debate, clients versus barbers. There's a I don't even know if I call it a debate. Maybe I call it a misunderstanding, but I kind of think clients know what they're doing. This subject is taper versus haircut versus lineup. Okay? A lineup is one price. A taper is another price. Okay? Two separate cuts, two different cuts, but they're in the same area, which is probably the reason why clients think they can get away with it. And as a barber, you all know what I'm getting ready to say. Here's the situation. A client comes in, hey, can I get a little lineup? Okay. Lineups are 20. No problem. You line them up. I'm almost done. And he hits you with the, hey, can you just fade that out real quick? Okay, look, we as barbers are not stupid. Okay. We know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why clients try this because we know what you're doing. You know what I mean? You wanted the taper in the first place, but you didn't want to pay the full price. because a taper is a haircut. It's a little taper on the end and in the back on both sides. Is it as heavy as a bald fade? No, but it's a haircut. It's one that's popular. So you should pay the right price for this haircut, not a lineup price. You know what I'm saying? And I am definitely the type of person that always looks at both sides of any argument. Okay. And let me tell you, as a client, you really don't have much to stand on in this argument. Okay. It, you know, I would have more respect if you just came in and was like, yo, bro, I'm a little short this week, but I really need a haircut. Could I pay you the lineup price for this taper? And then next time I get you back, I'd be like, you know what? No problem, bro. I respect that. But for you to come in, oh, I just want to line it up. Hey man, tape it this side real quick. I'm like, man, you know what I'm saying? So clients, barbers are not stupid. Trust me, we know what you're doing. You know what I mean? And now, like I said, I look at both sides of the argument. The client is thinking, well, he ain't doing nothing but just tapering this little part right here and just tapering a little back. That you know, he only take 10, maybe 15 minutes. That should be, you know what I mean? 15 minutes. He can let me slide with a lineup. Let me ask you a question. If you get an oil change and it takes the oil change people 5 minutes, are you gonna be like, man, you only took 5 minutes of my oil change, man. You did something wrong. No, you're not. Because he's a professional. He's done it over and over and over. So obviously, when you do something constantly over and over, you get better and you get what? Quicker. When I first started cutting hair, it literally would take me an hour and a half to do a bald fade. And I wish I had pictures of those bald fades, but I know they was jacked up. Okay. Hour and a half. Clippers steaming hot. You understand me? Steaming hot. Okay. And it still wasn't a good fade. You know what I mean? I give those fades a 5 out of 10. That's what I give those fades back when I first started. You know what I'm saying? But it went from an hour and a half to now I could do a ball fade. Taking my time, it'll take me 15 minutes. And that's just taking my time. If I'm in a competition or rushing, I could do it in about 12 to 12 and a half minutes. You know what I mean? Now, speaking of that, I need to get that 12 and a half minutes down because I don't know how, but back in the day, I used to be able to do a ball fade in 7 minutes, 7.5 minutes. But I've changed my technique over the years so many times that I actually forgot what technique I used to use for that 7.5 minute ball fade. So I just got to think and just replay in my head, okay, what technique did I used to use? Because I was doing 7.5 minute fades like that. They was nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna come to me. I'm gonna sit down tonight and just think about it. But now the type of fade that I do, it's gonna take me on an average about I say 11 on a good day, 13, 14 on a day where I might, be a little sluggish. You know what I'm saying? But either way, that is a far cry from an hour and a half. But my point is, when you do something over and over, you get quicker at it. You know what I mean? So, and that brings me to my next subject, something that was brought to my attention as a young barber, very, very young barber. A client sat in my chair, and he happened to be a cosmetologist. And, you know, I put the cape on him and stuff, but I was nervous. You know what I mean? I think he was my second haircut. Yeah. Wait. No, I think he was my first haircut. First or second haircut, okay? Ever in a barber shop. So he sits down and I'm nervous and I cut his hair. I think he just got a shadow fade with a high top. Yeah. And I thought I did okay. And he was like, he says, "Hey man, as a barber, you gotta have confidence in yourself and confidence when you hold these clippers because people can sense it. You're not gonna get a good cut when you're cutting nervous. You know what I mean? So you need confidence when you're a barber." And to this day, that those words have stuck with me because I can always tell when I visit different shops, I can always tell the new barbers because they are they're concentrating super hard on one little spot. You know what I mean? And they're taking their time and they're going over the same spot over and over and over. And I'm like, why does he keep going over that same spot? And and it's so funny because it doesn't matter where I'm at. I can tell whether you've been cutting recently or you just got your license or you've been cutting for a few years or if you're a super veteran. So my point is you must have confidence, barbers, when you are cutting. Now, of course, you need skills. That comes without saying. You need the skills. But I know barbers who are licensed who did not have a lot of confidence because when they were in school, and I'm not putting the blame on the school, but they did not get enough cuts to get good. You know what I mean? Because I don't care how fancy a school looks or how many facilities or things it has. If you don't get your students haircuts, they're not going to be good barbers when they leave your school. You could make them study for the state board and you can help them pass the state board, but as far as being a good barber, you got to get those reps in. You got to go to the shelters. You got to put the word out in your neighborhood. You know what I mean? You got to get those reps in. And a lot of student barbers, they graduate, they know all the book knowledge, but they don't get the reps in until they get to the barber shop. And that's not right. You know what I'm saying? Because I know in the city of Atlanta, there's I think 4 or 5 major homeless shelters. So you can get your reps in. You know what I mean? Because it's more than enough shelters, and that's just city of Atlanta. You know, we got different counties around Atlanta, but you know what I mean. No excuse. You got to get those reps in if you're a student barber. You know what I mean. And also, if you're a student barber, say you go to a school that's predominantly black. You go to a barber school that's predominantly black and they don't show you how to cut straight hair, meaning white, Latino, Asian, then that school has done you a disservice. Okay? Because it's like when I was a young barber, I wasn't afraid to cut straight hair. I was just very hesitant because I didn't know how to do it. And I was lucky that one year I got a job at a multicultural barbershop. And it was more than multicultural. It was damn near segregated because it had about 5 white barbers on one side and about 5 black barbers on the other side. And the walking area was down the middle. It was damn near segregated. But everybody was cool. But I'm going to tell you, when those white customers came in, I started watching and I'm learning. And I'm gonna tell you a story too. And I'm learning how to cut white hair just from watching my counterparts in the shop I was in. And well, at least I know one of those white barbers was watching the black barbers, and he was learning how to cut black hair. So I literally learned how to cut white hair from watching. I don't even know if I should shout him out, but from watching my boy Ben out in Herndon, Virginia. What's up? You know what I mean? I learned from how to cut white hair from watching you. And guess what? You learned how to cut black hair from watching us. Now, here's the deal. The reason why I didn't want to shout him out, because now Ben's head is humongous. You know why? Because Ben was the only white barber who could cut black and white hair. He left that shop we was at. He went to Herndon, Virginia, and he blew up because no no other white barber in that shop we was in was interested in learning how to cut black hair. But Ben was smart enough to learn how to cut black hair, and now he's cutting everybody's hair black and white. And his clientele was crazy. When I say I've seen barbers that have good clientele. I've seen barbers that have great clientele. But Ben's clientele was just unreal. It was stupid. But here's why I don't mess with you no more, Ben. I came in the shop one day. You had about 6 or 7 people waiting for you. I was like, "What's up, man?" You said, "What's up?" I was like, "Oh, shoot." So I was like, "Yo, you learned how to cut black hair when we was working together, huh?" And you told me, you was like, nah, nah, man, I always knew how to cut. And I looked at you and I was like, wow. And I just walked out, bro. Because one thing I don't mess with fake barbers, bro. I understand you got your big clientele and I salute you, but that was real fake, man. And I hope you get that message. Because you know I'm telling the truth. There's only 2 people in this conversation who know who's telling the truth, me and you. All right. But anyway, I'm still going to shout you out. Shout out to Ben. So every student should learn every hair texture, how to cut every hair texture. Now, if you live in Nebraska, you go to barber school in Nebraska, I get it. It's going to be kind of hard to find, you know what I'm saying? No, I take that back because my man Bud is from there, and obviously there's a black part of Nebraska. So, hey, you can get it in any city, any state. You gotta have different hair textures. You know what I'm saying to learn. So, for my students, make sure you are cutting different hair textures. Now, the Houston Barber Battle, that, like I said, is October 19th. I'm excited about it because I can't remember the last time there was a barber battle in Houston. I know there's, I know we have the Texas Barber Battle, and shout out to my boy doing that. But that's in San Antonio. You know what I mean? Houston is probably the first one. So, you know, y'all got a little responsibility to make sure this is good. You know what I mean? But shout out to y'all. It's going down October the 19th. Um, oh yeah. Shout out to Yusef. come up with another great invention. You know, Yusef, the creator of the curl sponge. You know what I mean? The creator of the curl sponge. And also the one plug, you know about that? One multi, 5 different plugs for 5 different clippers. Excellent. I got 2 of them. He's the inventor. Well, he came out with another invention, and that's called the no clog spray gun. And that, my friend, is very serious. Serious spray gun. First of all, the name says it all. No clog. How many times have you had to clean your spray gun? You know what I mean? You had to keep cleaning it, take it apart, put it back together. That gets old. But with this spray gun, no clog, never gets stopped up. Great invention. Great invention. I picked up mine yesterday. Um, I'm gonna do a review when I actually use it on a product. I tested it out myself, but I want to use it on a client. And bro, no clog spray gun. Put it in your Christmas list. Put it on your barber. I need to get this next list. No clog. All right. Now, going back to being able to cut different hair textures. Some of you may have the idea that, well, I'm in a black community. I just want to worry about cutting black hair. Or you may say, I'm in a white community. I just want to worry about cut. But let me tell you, the more textures that you can handle, the more clients you can attract. Okay. If you master both straight and curly hair, you expand your market. You know what I mean? You expand it beyond your immediate demographic. Okay. And, understanding different hair textures shows respect for the culture and professional maturity. You know what I mean? You can't be a racist and have multicultural clients. It just doesn't work. You know, it it kind of puts you in the mode of a universal barber, one who can just cut anybody and cut anything in any environment. And bottom line, barbers who cut multicultural clients make more money. You know what I mean? I don't know how many barbers that I have turned on to cutting straight hair, but it's a bunch of them. And when they first started, they was like, yo, I ain't messing with them white people, boy. I ain't trying to I ain't trying to mess it up. And I was like, yo, bro, just watch me. You know what I'm saying? Watch me. I'll help you. I'll talk you through it. One barber in particular used to work here. He was not messing with white hair. Now he has his own suite, and I say 80% of his client is white. Why? He watched me. He learned. I gave him some techniques, and he got what? Repetition, over and over and over. And now, once he got his suite, he was in a situation where, look, if I don't cut these people, I'm not going to eat. So you learn real quick when it comes between you and paying your bills and eating. You know what I mean? So make sure, if you're a student, make sure you make a conscious effort to learn how to cut multicultural. That's a That's the word we say for black, white, Asian, Latino, multicultural, everybody together. So let's talk a little bit about a vital part of every barbershop, well, most barbershops, and that's walk-ins. Walk-ins, some shops kind of push them to the side because they're on that whole appointment thing. But if you are a real traditional barbershop, I feel like you should take walk-ins. You know what I mean? I get it that you want your scheduling, you know, booked like 8, 9, 10. I get that. But if you're not a fully booked barber, you should always take walk-ins. The only people or the only barbers who should be turning down walk-ins are barbers who are fully booked Tuesday through Saturday or Monday through Sunday, whatever schedule you have. If you have no room to fit in nobody else, then you are the only person who should say, sorry, I'm appointment only. Everybody else, and I'm be honest with you, a lot of these appointment barbers who go, who's sitting there, haven't cut all day, a walk-in comes in, and you like, nah, I take appointments. Bro, you haven't cut all day. That doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? You going by the I don't know, the glamour of being a barber when you get on that level. When you like, nah, he got to book an appointment. Man, you better take that walk in. And there is a way each shop should handle walk-ins. Let me tell you, I've worked it was my shop, and it was a new barber who came in, and I had him work for a while. So he's cutting, and I'm cutting, okay? And a, a walk-in comes in, and he's just started his cut. So he tells the person, yeah, I got you next. And I was like, but you just started on that cut. I'm probably going to finish before you. But he's already claiming the walk-ins. And then another walk-in came in. Oh, I got you after him. And I didn't even say nothing because I knew I'm not hiring this dude. Because right off the bat, you showing me you greedy as hell. You don't have respect for the barber, the integrity of being a barber. And, you know, barbers who act that way, the reason why I say I can't really blame them is because they came from an environment where they had to do that. And that's a shame, but you can't be that greedy. You know what I'm saying? So the correct way for walk-ins to be allocated is a walk-in comes in, barber A gets them. Next one, barber B gets them. Next one, barber C, and it goes down the line. It should never be barber A gets like 4 walk-ins and barber B gets 1. You know what I mean? They should be spread out evenly. And to be honest with you, I had a situation where, and it was my fault, that I'm gonna tell you, I'm the type of owner where I give everybody walk-ins first and I'll get mine last. So I was giving barber C most of the walk-ins because he was the only barber who really wasn't cutting. Everybody else was always cutting. So I would be like, go to barber C. But then I realized, number one, barber C is not appreciative. And that's a whole other story. But I also realized that's not fair. Just because his chair is always empty when a walk-in comes doesn't mean that he should get all of the walk-ins. You know what I mean? So I had to change that. I had to spread it out evenly. Now, if I offer a barber walk-in and he's cutting hair at the time, Then I'm going to go to the next barber. If he's cutting hair, I'm going to go to the next barber, and I'm going to go down the line. And I'm going to do it fairly and evenly, okay? And that is how a shop should distribute the walk-ins. And the other thing, you got to have a sign-in sheet, because a lot of times that sign-in sheet, it will tell you, it helps keep the walk-ins distributed evenly, okay? So, and I was reminded about that last night when I went to my boy's shop. He has 10 barbers, and they have to have a sign-in sheet, because can you imagine having 10 barbers and, walk-ins are not, there's no uniform way to distribute walk-ins. It would be chaos. Okay? All right, so I think that's all for this week. Shout out to Yusef the Barber once again for the no clog. Shout out to the Houston Barber Expo. Shout out to Taper's Barber Academy, coming soon. And we out.